Isaiah chapter 19, a prophecy against Egypt. As the Arab Spring moves into a scorching summer, the temperature in the Middle East is climbing dangerously high. We have seen events in Syria lead to civil war, and now Egypt is being torn apart by the struggle between the various factions who seek power and control of that country. As far as Egypt is concerned, it brings to mind the prophecy of Isaiah chapter 19, where God says, "I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbour, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom, or district against district." The Muslim Brotherhood gained power with 52% majority after the fall of Hosni Mubarak, but that left a large dissatisfied section of the people who have now brought down the Muslim Brotherhood through a military revolution. The Muslim Brotherhood has been removed, at least for now. But the struggle now going on in Egypt is subject to powerful influences from the outside. Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates have come forward with 8 billion for Egypt all in one day. Kuwait has put up 5 billion, making 13 billion in order to support Egypt's military takeover from the Muslim Brotherhood. On the other hand, Iran, Russia and Hezbollah influences are supporting Syria and would like to see Egypt join the radical Islamic nations. This division in the Arab world is exactly what Bible prophecy teaches us to expect, creating a north-south divide such as we see indicated in Daniel chapter 11. But this divide is as much religious as it is geographical. A tug of war in Egypt is largely between two factions of Islam, Shiite and the Sunni. The United States would normally support a pro-Western Egypt, but President Obama has apparently moved from that position as he seeks to avoid an involvement in the Middle East that could potentially bring him into a confrontation with Russia and Europe. He is also said by some sources to have pro-Islamic sympathies, and many will remember his speech in Egypt after his election to his first term in office, not to mention his full name, Barack Hussein Obama. If he does not intervene in Syria or Egypt, it could influence the outcome of the struggle going on in both of those countries. But we must remember and recognise that it is the God of heaven that controls the political world, and so the prophet Daniel blessed the God of heaven in these words: "Blessed be the name of God for ever and ever, for wisdom and might are his, and he changeth the times and the seasons. He removeth kings and setteth up kings. He gives wisdom unto the wise and knowledge to them that know understanding. He reveals the deep and secret things. He knows what is in the darkness, and the light dwelleth with him." This truth was revealed directly to the king of Babylon, and we are informed further in Daniel chapter 4. The Most High rules in the kingdom of men and gives it to whosoever he will, and sets up over it the lowliest of men. Verse 17. The same principle is stated again in Daniel chapter 5 and verse 21. And this is brought by Paul in Romans chapter 13 and verse 1. For there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. So it may be that while men delude themselves into thinking that the modern world is controlled through the ballot box or by force of arms and revolution. The reality is that God controls everything, and knowing this to be so, the true believer is very interested in politics because he knows that God works out his purpose through the kingdoms of men, placing in power those individuals who will accomplish that which he pleases. This is no less so in the modern age of democracy than it was when kingdoms were founded by the sword and by war. Knowing this, then, some true believers avoid politics, never linking themselves to one party or another, but just observe the politics, knowing that they can see the hand of God and the signs of the times in the political world. The Word of God has revealed that at the time of the end, the Middle East will be divided into two blocks. We have already referred to Daniel 11, the king of the north and the king of the south, and we can also see a similar confederacy in Ezekiel chapter 38 with Gog's company. The Hebrew word for company is on about a religious assembly, similar to the Greek word ecclesia. And another prophecy of a north-south divide is seen in Zechariah chapter 6, verses 1 to 8. That is the picture that we expect to emerge, a divided Arab world with each side allied to other major powers. So when we see the Egyptians against the Egyptians, we know from Isaiah's prophecy that the outcome will be that eventual surrender to a cruel lord. Or as Daniel says, Daniel 11 and verse 42, the land of Egypt shall not escape. Isaiah also tells us that Egypt's economic woes, verses 5 to 10, Isaiah 19 verses 5 to 10. Such is the prophecy concerning Egypt before the God of Israel heals them. Verse 22. In that day shall Israel be the third with Egypt and with Assyria, even a blessing in the midst of the land, whom Yahweh of armies shall bless, saying, Blessed be Egypt, my people, and Assyria, the work of my hands, and Israel, mine inheritance. This has been the Bible in the News this week.